Mr. President.
Councilor Osborne.
To make sure it's working. Fellow councilors, I haven't known Bob Driscoll very long in reality, but when you first think of Bob Driscoll, the first word that comes to your mind is family. His lovely wife, Sally, and together they raised 10. Wow. This is one I didn't even know about. 10 great children. But there are other accolades that we could give to Mr. Driscoll, one being educator. Bob taught for many, many years at a vocational school. Also coach. I don't even know the number of years you were coach, but I can know that he coached the Masco program for a number of years. You want to give me a few fingers? You don't have enough fingers on your hand, Bob. 23 years. Not only did he coach the Masco program, but I can remember sending my sons to Cape Ann Hockey School, where he coached kids from the age of 4, probably younger, right up to high school. I also think of the word mentor. With 28 years on the council, Councilor Driscoll had the opportunity to mentor many councilors who sat in these chairs. How was he such an effective councilor? He brought the values that he lives by every day into this council chamber. And I mentioned family. I can remember the councilor debating whether there should be a Hooters in Peabody. And it was a pretty lengthy debate. Councilor Driscoll, in his wisdom, depended on the values that he taught his children when he told us, yeah, I took a couple of my daughters in, and this is not a good place. So he used those values. An educator, Mr. Councilor Driscoll fought vehemently for anything that had to do with education. And as we as a council sat there and debated how much it would cost, he just listened. And at the end, when he finally would speak, he would just tell us just how important the investment in children are, and that the dollars shouldn't even come into account. He was a champion for education on this council. Coach, he coached us all. He was a great listener. Not the most active in debate, but as the debate was going on, he would just listen. And when everybody had their say, Councilor Driscoll had the uncanny ability to wrap it up in about 3 words: common sense, right, and good for the community. It's been an honor and a pleasure to serve with Councilor Driscoll. He's going to be missed, and I'll tell you, I speak definitely for this city council, and if they can, for the city of Peabody, to say thank you, Bob, for a job well done. You're truly deserving of this retirement. After raising 10 children, it's now time for you and Sally. Enjoy every minute of it. Would you come up here for a minute, please? And again, I thank my fellow councilors for allowing me to make this presentation with Bob. Here's a little something of little appreciation from the city and the city council. And the microphone's yours. I know you don't like to, you can use more than 4 words this time.
Thank you, my good friend Barry. Let's just say I have thank yous. First of all, I'd like to thank the people in Ward 4 who gave me the honor to serve them for 28 years, a job that I really enjoyed and spent a lot of time at. I'd also like to thank the administrations that I've been lucky to serve under. Our current mayor, Betancourt, Mike Bonfanti, and Peter Terigian, 3 honorable and good men. Didn't always agree, but honorable and good men. I'd like to thank city councilors who I've been able to get along with. We've collaborated, we've cooperated, and we've done as best we can. I enjoyed them immensely, every one of them. They're bright, articulate people that have nothing but good intentions for our community, and I'm sure that they'll continue that on. Also, the workers in the city. We should be very proud of Peabody. We have public servants here. These people work their jobs and do it with pride. They've been a pleasure to work with. And lastly, as Barry said, I'd have to thank my family. The kids were great. They worked hard. They campaigned. I can remember some strange things that went on, but they were certainly a value to me and a value to themselves because they learned a lot about giving back to their community. And I know that they'll do that the rest of their days. And last but not least, I have to mention my wife, Sally. She's, as they say, the good person. She's the hard worker, she's the diligent, she's the organized. She's truly a outstanding human being, and I've been very lucky for now going on 45 years. So, once again, this is a tremendous honor. I greatly appreciate it. I wish you'd inform me of it. So thank you, and let's carry on the good work of the city of Peabody. Thank you.
Councilor Gravel.
Barry, you're going to have to get used to this podium now, because I'm sure you'll be coming back. I have had the pleasure and the privilege of knowing Barry Osborne since I was a kid in high school. I taught him everything he knew about softball. I watched him develop as both a person and a family man, and a person mostly that I truly admire. When we all know that he didn't come willingly into politics, that it took some convincing. As a matter of fact, Tim, I hate to say it, but he used my papers for school committee that weren't filled out yet. And I finally gave him, I finally made him go down and sign the book. But seriously, and we talked about it long and hard, and he really expressed to me at that time how much he wanted to be involved. And he ran a hard race, and he didn't get in, but he didn't quit. And when the opportunity came up to run for Ward 1 councilor 16 years ago, he took that opportunity and ran with it. And I was proud to be able to support him in that effort. I've known his family pretty much all my life. We've laughed together, we've cried together, we've shared losses together. He's as much like a brother to me as the brothers that I have left remaining with me. And I've always been grateful for the friendship that he showed my family in early days, in difficult times, when he was always looking out and pointing us in the right direction. People don't know, but you know, when you start a business, sometimes every hand up is a step in the right direction, and he certainly offered many hands up in the beginning of my business and also in the beginning of my son's business. I can tell you that we've spent numerous nights, sometimes agreeing to disagree, but we certainly always remain the closest of friends. I just recruited him to come to Santa's Magic and help us out on Christmas morning, and I'm hoping he takes me up on that as well, because he's just got a great heart. And the thing I love most about him is not only does he have a great heart, but he's got a great sense of humor. And how many nights have I sat here in the craziest of debates when people were getting far more heated than you ever would want them to be, and he just puts the twist on it that brings the laugh, that makes us all realize that we are all entitled to our opinion, but we should all learn to agree and be together and learn to agree to disagree when we have to, but not nasty and not negative. And he is the epitome of that person. I can honestly tell you that the next couple of years are going to be very different without Bob and without Barry. We're going to miss you greatly. You did the city a great service. I know you'll continue to do the city a great service. And thank you for being not only a great public servant, but a best friend. Thank you. Gary, I have to show people what you're getting.
The new windows, too.
We wanted Barry to remember where he earned this from.
Thank you for your kind words. What are you doing here? I don't know where to start. I didn't think I was going to get emotional, but I probably should have known better. You look out there, and thank you so much for coming. I have to thank my wife, my two sons, for letting me do this. Thank you for answering all those phone calls when I wasn't home, taking copious notes. Sometimes I think you're the real Counselor Ward 1, and I thank you for everything you did. I thank people like Frank Wiggin, Fred Murtagh, Nick Mavulis, because when I grew up in Ward 3, I didn't really know what a politician was or what they did, but I knew they helped people, and I always wanted to say, geez, you know, maybe I'd like to be like them someday and help people. So it was always a desire. I thank Councilor Gravel for giving me the push to really get into this. I want to thank the administrations that I worked with. You're Davy's nephew, aren't you? I mean, Mayor Betancourt is like a family member to me. I grew up with his family on Jacob Street. So I'm really kind of a loss for words. Councilor Driscoll gave all the thank yous that should be given. So I want to put a little different twist on it. I've enjoyed working with every one of you. We didn't always agree, but I never walked out of this chamber thinking that one of you weren't my friend or that one of you didn't have my back. And that's what made it easy to be a city councilor. The department heads are fantastic. You've got a great team here in Peabody. Take advantage of them. Use them. These minds are fantastic. Natalie, thank you for coming here tonight. You were a great city clerk. You really were. Tim's okay. You were great. To the city clerk's office, you guys are phenomenal. Tim, you are just above and beyond. Colleen, and every one of you that work down there. It's so easy to be a city councilor with an office like yours. They set you straight. They make sure all the ducks are in a row. And if there's something you should know about before a meeting, they make sure you know about it. I look around this room, chief, department heads. This is part of a great city. It's easy being a city councilor in Peabody because everybody works together. No one has a problem walking into that corner office. The door's never closed. Well, it's closed once in a while. You must be talking to Andrea then, I guess. But if you knock on it, it'll be opened. Everybody works together, and I don't know what to say. Dave, your introduction really got to me. I really appreciate everything you said. It was a great run. Bob and I are going to be golfing tomorrow if anybody's interested. No, but all I'm going to say is thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, fellow councilors who I serve with now. Thank you, councilors who I've served with in the past. Thank the administrations. Thank the department heads, mayor. For the ones that aren't here, please give them my thanks. And just thank you for bringing me up in Peabody, because I love it here. Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, would you like to offer any comments? Councilors, anybody like to share any words before we? And we'll wait till the end. Congratulations and thank you to both of you.
Does that mean we have to stay?
Okay, councilors, we will now move to approval of the record. We've done that, and we are going to hearings. And item 4A is a recessed public hearing, a discontinuance on Corporate Place.
Receive 8L, there's a letter to withdraw.
Okay, councilors, if we move to item 8L, Councilor Sasslaw.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Under suspension rules, motion to receive item 8L. And
Okay, councilors, that's a letter requesting a withdrawal without prejudice regarding item 4A. Motion to receive. All in favor, any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
so the petition motion to withdraw without prejudice for the public hearing.
For the discontinuance of Corporate Place. Councilors, you heard that motion. Comments? Roll call. Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote.
B is a recessed hearing.
Okay, item B is a zoning amendment recessed, the moratorium on billboards. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Gould, if you receive item 8D, please.
That's the planning board.
Motion to receive item 8D.
Okay, which is the planning board recommendation,
Thank you.
which is to adopt the proposed amendment.
So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion to adopt the proposed.
Receive it.
Oh,
We have to
sorry.
close the hearing.
Right, okay, we're going to receive that communication, and now I need a motion to close the hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. The hearing is closed. Councilor Gould.
Tim, should I read from amending section
Yeah,
11?
from section 1, yeah.
By amending section 11-6-2, applicability by amending the following words: moratorium on billboards. No special permit applications for billboard shall be accepted by the City of Peabody commencing on May 23rd, 2014 for a period of 24 months, and inserting in place thereof the following new language: moratorium on billboards. No special permit applications for billboard shall be accepted by the City of Peabody for an additional 2 years, commencing from the original billboard moratorium expiration date on May 22nd, 2016 through to May 22nd, 2018. So moved.
Councilors' comments on the motion? Roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian. Sasla.
Yes.
Gravel. McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll. Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Okay, councilors, we'll move to item 4C, which is a public hearing for a junk dealer's license at 30 Main Street. And we'll have the clerk read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, December 10, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. on the application from Linda R. Sciaraffa, 24A North Central Street, Peabody, Mass. for a junk dealer's license at 30 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. Peabody City Council, Councilor Thomas P. Walsh, City Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I would ask the petitioner or his representative to come forward, please. Hello, if you could state your name and address for the record, please, and what you'd like to do.
Linda Sciaraffa, 24A North Central Street. I'm looking to sell discount household items at 30 Main Street, such as solid wood furniture, lamps, pictures, things of those items. Nothing that's clothing or bedding type things. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I spoke to Ms. Sciaraffa about her planned business. She's already kind of addressed a number of my questions. I'd open it up to other councilors before making a motion.
Thank you, Councilor. Further questions, councilors? Seeing none, Councilor McGinn.
Move to close the public hearing.
On the motion to close the public hearing, all those in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Move to approve the application from Linda R. Sciaraffa, 24A North Central Street, from Peabody, Mass. for a junk dealer's license at 30 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. So moved.
On the motion, councilors? Roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian. Sasla.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Congratulations. Good luck, and make sure you check in with the city clerk's office,
I
okay?
just want to say thank you very much for giving my company the opportunity to work here in Peabody.
Thank you. We wish you well. Okay, councilors, we'll move to item 4D, which is A&M Realty Group on 43 Central Street. And we'll have the clerk read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, December 10, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wiggin Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. on the application from A&M Realty Group, LLC, care of 246 Andover Street, Peabody, Mass. for a special permit seeking to discontinue the existing pub restaurant and replace with 2 residential units at 43 Central Street, Peabody, Mass. as filed in accordance with sections 4.2, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Detailed plans and specifications will be made available at the time of the public hearing. Peabody City Council, Councilor Thomas P. Walsh, City Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Attorney Von Silitis.
Good evening. For the record, my name is Ethan Bonzalides. I'm an attorney practicing law at 246 Andover Street in Peabody, and I'm here on behalf of the petitioner with respect to their application. I know the council is already very familiar with our property. It's a 2.5-story building. It's a mixed use of both commercial and residential. It sits on a lot that contains about 7,600 square feet in the area. On the first floor, what I would call the ground floor, is the courthouse pub and restaurant. On the second floor, we have 2 apartments. Both are approximately 600 to 700 square feet of living area. One is a 1-bedroom and the other is a 2-bedroom. And on the third floor, we have another apartment. It's a 2-bedroom, and it contains about 1,100 square feet in area. As you already know, the owners of the Courthouse Pub, they've vacated, they've closed business, and now that the spaces are vacant, my client doesn't want to bring back another restaurant in pub use. Instead, they'd like to basically eliminate the restaurant and then convert that space into 2 additional apartments. Each apartment would be 2 bedrooms that contain approximately 900 square feet of living area, that contain a full bath, kitchen, living room, dining room. In order to do all this, the total first floor interior would be totally gutted. They'd be installing all new floors, new ceiling, new walls, new wiring, new plumbing. The windows will be reinstalled as residential windows, and they'll do new decorative siding along the lower level of the building. The only thing that's going to be occurring to the exterior is they'd be removing the walk-in chest and compressor that I believe is located towards the left rear of the building. They'd be removing the ventilation equipment of the restaurant that's on the roof, along with the commercial signage. This building is already fully sprinklered with a fire suppression system, and that system will obviously still service the 2 additional apartments. And we also have all the parking spaces that's required underneath our zoning ordinance. If my memory serves me correctly, I think that the Courthouse Pub and Restaurant did have some problems and difficulties in the past with many of the neighbors. I believe that this evening's proposal is certainly going to eliminate any potential problems that could exist by eliminating the restaurant use and utilizing it solely for residential. Basically, if granted the permit, the end result is going to be a 5-unit residential building. Aesthetically, it's going to look residential, as character to be residential, and it should be, in my opinion, entirely compatible with the neighborhood. I do have our petitioner's contractor with me here this evening, Mr. Tom Lewis, along with a member of the petitioner, Barry Hobby, and together we'll try to answer any questions that the council or the public may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anyone in opposition? Seeing none, Councilor Mitsoulas.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sure the neighborhood is pretty ecstatic about this. They don't have to worry about parking in the neighborhood anymore, the noise at night if there was any, or any problems from the bar in the past. And when they came back for their entertainment license, we denied it, and they could not apply for 2 years anyway, so it makes good sense that they don't open it as bar again, because they will not get an entertainment license for 2 years. So that's a good move, and I'm glad to see all this is happening, and I'm sure the neighborhood is glad to see this happening. I do have a couple concerns here. There was a liquor license attached to this. Do you want to explain where that license is and where it's going?
Yeah, my clients purchased this building approximately a month ago. Prior to the purchase, the previous owners renewed their liquor license, and that liquor license is basically trying to find a new home. If they can find a new home for it within the year, they can sell it. If not, it goes back to the city of Peabody.
Right. Okay, so they have a year to sell it, which is their right. They own it. That's fine, but just so the neighborhood will understand, they cannot use that liquor license to open
this location.
That location. That's why we're having this meeting here this evening. So a few other concerns I have here. I would like to see the petitioner touch base with the Historical Society, the Historical Commission, to see if they have any input into that building at all.
We're not going to do anything to the exterior. We're just gutting the interior restaurant space. The only thing to the exterior is going to be the removal of the restaurant ventilation equipment that's up on the roof and the commercial signage.
Okay, let me ask you this then. Your first floor, where it's it looks like a bar. That's not going to be remodeled to blend in with the,
Yes, the exterior is we're going to put new siding on the first story, lower level.
right.
Something more aesthetic than what it looks like. Now it looks too commercial.
Okay. And I hope you're going to remove all those antennas that are all over the building there. I hope you have plans for that.
I'm being told yes.
Okay. Okay. And there's another concern also. We're going from 3 units to 5 units.
Yes.
And the city allows you to put trash out for 3 units. What are you going to do about the other 2 units? How are you going to handle that?
The way we're going to do the rubbish is if you've been to the building, you go behind it, there's a set of stairs coming down from the 3rd floor unit.
Right.
And what we're going to do is what a lot of the commercial real estate owners do is we're just going to have barrels that are lined up underneath that porch. And the tenants will use those barrels.
And how are you going to remove the trash?
Put it out to the street. I mean, you can have up to 3 barrels.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, if the way I think it goes in the city, if you have 5 units, okay, you can only put put out the 3 units. The other 2 units are not allowed. You can't. Am I correct on that, Tim?
Yes.
Yeah. Would you please?
We plan on having private trash collection for that.
Okay.
Anything over 3 units.
Okay. Well, that's what I was
We'll play with
looking
the
for.
ordinance.
That's.
I'm sorry. Barry Hobie, Devonshire Road, Middleton.
Barry's the new owner. Okay. Well, that's what I was looking for. You are going to take the trash out
There was a
at your own
dumpster there
expense.
was a dumpster on the property. We
Right.
didn't like the looks of it, so we're going to go with barrels. We have a enclosure underneath the stairs to keep rodents out and everything else. And
Okay.
we plan on having private trash collection.
Okay. All right. That was a concern. Any other councilors have any questions?
Thank you, Council. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. This building is in the BC, and I'm generally not supportive of first floor residential in the BC, but in this case, it's kind of on the fringe of BC, and it's definitely in the vicinity of other residential. And given the problems that were alluded to earlier by Attorney, I think the most recent commercial use has been a problem, and I can support first floor residential in this instance. This is a high visibility location, and I think Councilor Matsoulis kind of referred to it in some of his comments. To me, it's important that this building that was built in 1910 looks like a residence, because right now it doesn't. So at one point you said you weren't going to touch the exterior, but then I think you may have corrected yourself and said you are going to fix the exterior so that it
Looks
is
more
residential.
If you look at the 2nd and 3rd floors, it's more of a clapboard. It's not bad looking. If you look at the lower level, it looks too commercial, so.
Right. I mean, from my perspective, this is right. It's in Ward 3, but it's right across the street from Ward 2. It makes the corner of Central and Elm Street. Elm Street's got a number of beautiful homes on it, and I think it can blend if it's addressed properly on the exterior renovations. The property directly across the street is a real architectural gem. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but 40 Central Street's built in 1880. It makes the corner of Stevens and Central Street, and again, they're looking directly across at this every day. So I've had a couple of residents contact me about this. They're fine with it, but it's like myself, they want it to look residential. So I'd like to add a couple of conditions here, and that Councilor Matsoulis has that would guarantee that. And I think it's fully consistent with what I've heard from both yourself and the applicant. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Manning Martin.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And over the past year, there were a lot of residents that did come out when we had issues with the former site, and I noticed none of them are here. So I'm assuming that you've talked to them along the way in planning. Have you met with them?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, they're very nice. It's a very nice neighborhood, so please.
I figured they hated that restaurant, so
Yeah,
this couldn't be that bad.
they did, but they and justifiably so. It was a troublesome area, but it's a beautiful little neighborhood, and
Yeah.
as Council McGinn has stated, that they've been working a lot on their houses, and they like their neighborhood. They have small children, and they want it to continue to be a nice little neighborhood. So if you could keep them in mind when you are doing your construction and make sure that you're neighborly in the process. And I'm sure everything would be great, and I think this would be certainly a great improvement for that neighborhood. So I'm all in favor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further comments, Councilors? Seeing none, Councilor Mitsoulas.
A motion to close the public hearing, Mr. Chairman.
On the motion to close the public hearing, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Mitsoulas.
I'd like to make a motion to approve a special permit for A&M Realty Group, LLC, 43 Central Street, for the discontinuing existing pub restaurant and replace with 2 residential units. You want to add any conditions on that, Council? Be my guest.
Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would add the following conditions. The petitioner shall seek guidance on all exterior innovations to the structure from the Peabody Historical Commission. Number 2, the commercial first-floor facade shall be removed and replaced in such a way that the entire exterior of the property is residential in appearance. Number 3, no apparatus, including but not limited to antennas, satellite receiving devices, shall be placed on any roof or any facade of the structure where visible from Elm Streets or Central Streets. Number 4, all trash and recycling shall be contained in the rear of the structure, not visible from the street, and adequately screened such that it is not visible to abutters, and such trash and recycling storage location shall be indicated on the final version of the site plan and shall be approved by construction review committees and planning board as a function of site plan review. Number 5, trash and recycling materials shall be removed by a private trash removal service, and no municipal trash pickup shall be provided. For the avoidance of doubt, trash collection shall be in accordance with the ordinance of the City of Peabody, and no trash or refuse or recycling collection shall be between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. on any day of the week. Number 6, alleged violation of special permit conditions may result in a show cause hearing at the City Council. Those would be the conditions I add. Councilor Mitsoulas, thank you.
Are you fine with that? Well,
We're fine with it.
okay. Thank you, Councilor. Yes, so moved, Mr. Chairman.
Comments on the motion, Councilors? Roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. Well, I wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy and healthy New Year. And Bobby and Barry, I think you truly will be missed. As a lifelong resident of the city of Peabody, I too want to thank you for your years of service to the city and for making it the great city that it is today.
Thank you. Councilors, we're going to move to item 4E, which is a special permit request from Bruce McCrory at 220 Newbury Street, and I will ask the clerk to read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, December 10, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. On the application from Bruce McCrory, 220 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. For a special permit seeking to install an electronic message board on an existing freestanding sign pole at said 220 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. Is filed in accordance with Section 6.1, 11.4.8 and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Detailed plans and specifications will be made available at the time of the public hearing. Peabody City Council, Councilor Thomas P. Walsh, City Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, and I would ask the petitioner to come forward, please. If you could state your name and address for the record and just what you'd like to do, please.
Hi, Gary Bistany, Auto Graphics and Signs, 220B Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. We want to install a full-color electronic reader board sign, 5 by 11, 5 feet by 11 feet, two-sided, 5 inches wide on both sides, steel and aluminum construction, framed to the existing pole that's there.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. Is Mr. McCrory here?
Yes.
Okay. I've always seen your name for many years and just want to put a face with the name. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it. I spoke to Gary about the sign. I have a couple of points of information, a couple of questions I want to ask. You did say just now a two-sided sign. So are you looking to put a message on both sides or just on when you come down on the south side?
Double-sided.
Double-sided. So you're going to be flashing so people coming north can see it on the other side of the highway?
Correct.
So I wasn't really aware of that. Is that something that, my concern on that a little bit is just, we're always concerned about people driving and safety. And so where the sign is located, I don't know if that's a deal breaker, but I am concerned about people heading north seeing the sign. I looked at it more being effective going south. And I assume that you're aware of the fact that the sign would only be for your business. You cannot take any outside advertising, no fees, anything like that. So it's for your business. As I said, I'm more inclined to be, quite frankly, I thought it was just going to be going one way, not going both ways, and I'm a little bit concerned which so far over. But I'll reserve. I'll get back to that. As far as just being clear, so you're aware that it's not an electronic reader board. It's actually you have to put a message up, and it has to say in 10-second increments at a minimum. Okay. Yes. And Gary, you did the sign for the. Did you do the sign for the Terigian Center? Or no, I can't remember. Did you do the Terigian sign? No. Okay. I'm just concerned, as I said, just making sure that it's strictly for your business, no revenues, no other outside advertising. On a personal note, I've always liked time and temperature, so if you can maybe put in a little bit, especially those people going to work in the morning. At this point, I'll open up to my fellow colleagues on the floor.
You all set, Councilor, for right now? Further questions or comments? Councilor Sinowitz.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with it being two-sided, and you have my permission to give him a karate chop right now. But no, I don't see anything wrong with the sign, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Councilor. Further questions or comments? Seeing none, Councilor Sasslaw.
Motion to close the public hearing.
On the motion to close the public hearing, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for Bruce McCrory, 220 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. for a special permit seeking to install an electronic message board on an existing freestanding sign pole at said 220 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. as filed in accordance with Section 6.1, 11.4.8, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance, all papers being in order.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good
you
luck.
very much, all of you. Thank you. Happy holidays.
All right, councilors, item 4F, a special permit. This is a continued hearing of Adriano Torgino at 98 Main Street. Okay, the clerk will read the notice of public hearing because we have not yet opened the hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, December 10, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. On the application from Adriano Taugino, 182 Lake Drive, Hamilton, Mass. For a special permit seeking to develop a commercial/residential mixed-use occupancy consisting of 6 residential units on 2 floors, providing 14 parking spaces at 98 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. As filed in accordance with sections 4.2.1, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Detailed plans and specifications will be made available at the time of the public hearing. Peabody City Council. Councilor Thomas P. Walsh, City Council President.
Attorney Kelty.
Thank you, Councilor and President of the Board. My name is John Kelty, and I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts, and I appear this evening on behalf of Adriano Taugino, who lives in Hamilton, Massachusetts, and we are addressing the property at 98 Main Street here in Peabody, Mass. My client has entered into a purchase and sale agreement with the North Shore Community Action Programs, who are the current owners of the property. This is a project that I think is somewhat familiar to the council in as much as 2 years ago, there was a proposal for some 10 residential units to be housed within this property. We are back before the council having, with a new owner, with our new architect, William Grover, who accompanies me this evening, and we are proposing commercial units on the first floor and 3 residential units on the second floor and 3 on the third floor. We have brought this proposal to both the neighborhood and to Community Development Department and to the Historic Commission, and we've been successful enough to be able to work with the Historic Commission, and Mr. Grover has done a terrific job with respect to trying to satisfy the Historic Commission's concerns with respect to the architectural details of the property. And that has resulted in a November 9th, 2015 memorandum in which they've given their support and have given a glowing endorsement to the efforts by Mr. Grover with respect to how he's going to treat the property. I think that Mr. Grover could probably go through some of those details now if you would think it would be appropriate. Okay.
The microphone should work. Councilor McGinn, did you have a...
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I believe what Mr. Grover is going to step through is in the package, and under suspension of the rules, I'd like to move to receive item 8P. So moved.
Item 8Q, Councilor?
I believe it's 8P.
8B. On that motion to receive, all in favor, any opposed, it is vote. Councilor McGinn. Next, you all set?
In my 74th year, I'm not really an expert at these systems here. So anyway, this is the front of 98 Main Street. It's a house that was built in 1857. And our proposal is to, well, let me run through the site because I think the site is a huge issue here. Lot C, Lot B, and Lot A were the lots that had no access other than the frontage and the right-of-ways that were created in, I believe it was before 1949, but this is a survey or plot plan that shows the property perimeters. Lot A and B were combined, and that's our property now. This is a 1980 survey. It's part of the permit drawing set on file at Inspectional Services here in Peabody. When NASCAP moved in, this survey was done. The building is shown right up to the property line on the south side, right up to the sidewalk, and that was because there was a hardware store, one-story addition to it, and NASCAP took that hardware store down. So there's about an 11 feet step back on the existing building now. That there are planters out front now where the footprint of the one-story addition originally existed. This is a Google map of the site. You can see to the upper left is Knights of Columbus. Our site is in the center there with those two huge trees in the back. And then the parking in the back has been barricaded off by NASCAP, I believe a couple of years ago. And then the parking issue is a huge issue in this area. So we really focused on the parking and meeting the zoning requirements of the parking and using the right-of-ways. So this is our proposal for the site plan. To get access, we have to do a handicap ramp in the front, which is going to take the space of the planters, and we're going to have to move the entry. It's a center entry Italianate building. The site is currently used. The building's abandoned, and the parking is currently used mostly by the Knights of Columbus, and I believe at some time when NASCAP was there, the other butters used the property and parking on the weekends and at night, because this was an office occupancy then. So this is how the property is used now. I just showed this for the Knights of Columbus event parking. There's parallel parking alongside of the building that runs alongside of the barriers. And that's the way it's been used for a long time, I think, since 1913. And you can see some of the parkings in the right-of-way zone, and some of the parkings in the property area, in the existing property of 98 Main Street. This is an enlarged drawing of the handicap ramp. And this is an enlarged drawing of the rear service area showing the trash recycle container storage. We think we can get 8 to 12 yard capacity in that storage area in the back. There are two means of egress, one in the front, one in the back. The existing building will be modified. There will be two stairs to provide two means of egress from the basement all the way up to the third floor. One will exit to the Main Street, the other will exit directly opposite to the service area. There can be no exit on the sides of the building because there's no really room from the property line to the building. The apartments are on the second floor. Will be two apartments, very small apartments. They're 670 square feet, 590 square feet. There are 3 units there. On the third floor is an attic. It's never been used for residential use. When the building was originally built, it was an attic. NASCAP uses it for offices, or had used it for offices. We couldn't find any drawings of that layout. But in order to put residential units in there, we have to improve the light and ventilation of that attic space. So if you look at what we're doing, we're going to cut the roof off at this point and take it off from that point on, and then we're going to extrude the roof all the way back to the back of the property, keeping the eave line that happens all the way around the building. So our historic commission submission. The house is the Benjamin Wheeler House, 1857 is built. I went through some of the research. This is what the house looked like, mid-20th century. This is a picture of the house of the building next to it, the building to the east. This is our house here. You can see there was some sort of railing at the top of the hip roof on our project. This is in 1980 when NASCAP took over. This was what that building looked like. It was a hardware store. I'm sure people who are familiar with what it was. And NASCAP restored the house, put the center entry back on the house, and it turned out pretty nice. So, the way we're going to modify it, we're going to take a look at the front, which has this nice portico, and we're going to have to move it to the right. Take it off the center entry, move it to the right, and replace the entry with the door. You can see the ramp to the left and the stairs up to the entry. This is the west elevation. The original house was almost a square, and there was some 19th century or early 20th century addition, and you can see the addition in the back, which is just a two-story with no attic space. This is how we'll build the west elevation. We'll essentially bring the eave all the way across. We will put in some dormers in order to get light and ventilation in the attic space. This is the rear elevation. This is the way we'll modify it. On the left, you can see these 6 units here. These are AC units that will be racked on the wall, and then our trash and storage will be in this area. And I believe if I can't get all the AC units there, that we can do some AC units underneath the entry portico. So this is the east elevation. You can see right now where the original building was, right here. We're going to expand it out, square off the building. Again, the dormers will be added to the attic space. And this is a section through the building. It shows that apartment 6 in the attic. It shows how we'll essentially treat the dormers. I have an enlarged drawing of that. These are the existing dormers on the front, and the idea here is to create a shed roof connecting those two and put glass windows in between them. And this is, I'm sorry for the weakness of this drawing, but this is what we're hoping that it will look like when we get done with it. And again, an enlarged section through attic apartment showing the ceiling heights and the restrictions on the existing slope of the roof, so that these dormers are really important to create a much larger open space. And I believe we've tried to be very, very conscious of the existing design and tried to work within the parameters of the existing design. And that's it. So if there's any questions, we can go back to any slide you want. The site plan, okay.
So the reason we ran through that is we wanted to make sure that the council understood that although there is substantial renovation being taking place, it will result in 3 units on the second floor, 3 on the third floor, and then a commercial space on the first floor. And I believe that is exactly what the council had sought when Norman Lee left 2 years ago. We have our first floor use, which is commercial, is intended to be a bakery and coffee shop. Mr. Tagino's wife is an accomplished baker and is also expert at wedding cakes. So while the main focus of that first floor in terms of the bakery will probably be decorative cakes and wedding cakes and the like, there'll also be a coffee shop component that will have pastry and could be a potential place for people to come and visit the downtown and spend a few minutes. We are accessing we have 14 spaces. Our residential units require, we have 16 spaces. Our residential units require that we have 2.3 spaces per unit, and so that takes us to 14. We have what appears to be 2 additional spaces. One of them, the one that Bill is pointing out now, is intended to be a loading and unloading. That's a little wider than the average space, and that would be intended to be loading and unloading for the commercial space. It would also be a way that the trash could be picked up, accessed from that particular space. And then the expectation is the space on the other side would probably be for the baker herself. We do need a space during the day while the baker is on the premises, and she would, in all likelihood, utilize that space. So unfortunately, in our opinion, we don't have spaces to lend, give away, lease, or gift to other people, certainly not at this time. We need to get in the premises, make the renovations, see what our tenant count is, see what kind of automobile use the tenants will have. But we do believe that we've optimized the renovation. We've come to a meeting of the minds with respect to the Historic Commission. The changes that Bill has offered keep the architectural integrity of the original building and stretch it out to the add-on space. And we believe that we've done probably the best job possible with this particular property as to trying to satisfy the city council concerns that were exhibited 2 years ago when they said that they would like a lesser count of residential units and a commercial space on the first floor. And with that, I'd like to answer any questions the council may have or turn it over to the council floor.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone present who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Attorney Slattery.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, members of the council. My name is John Slattery. For the record, I have a law office at 1 Essex Green Drive in Peabody, Massachusetts. I've been asked to come here tonight by the Knights of Columbus, a longstanding civic and political community in this city, and express their concerns over this proposal. As you know, the Knights of Columbus are at 96 Main Street. They are in a butter. And when you're looking at this plan right here and it's laid out, when the Knights of Columbus asked me to become involved in this, I told them that they should have a survey done, not a site plan, which has been the plan that has been supplied to you, but an actual survey to know where the boundaries of the right-of-way are. And while we have not completed the survey, there just has not been time. Dewsnap Engineering was out there today. I had an opportunity to walk the site with them. And it is clear that the right-of-way that has been depicted on the site plan that has been provided to you, the in-ground survey, the instrument survey casts doubt on how that right-of-way is depicted on this plan. For example, the site plan that was submitted by the petitioner in this case shows that the telephone pole, which they need to move, my understanding, they need to move that telephone pole in order to access 13 through 17, the spaces in the rear, 4 of the spaces. That telephone pole is depicted on their property in this right-of-way. However, when we were down on the site today with Dewsnap Engineering, it is clear that that telephone pole is on the Knights of Columbus property, and that this site plan therefore pushes the boundary of the right-of-way 2 feet further out into the Knights of Columbus parking lot. If you consider that the pole was be on the Knights of Columbus property, they would need permission from the Knights of Columbus in order to move it, which the Knights are not inclined to give at this point in time. How that affects their ability to then have parking spots 13 through 17 is up to the developer, but I would suggest to you right now, based on the presentation as I've seen it, based on the plan that I've reviewed, that unless that pole can be moved, those spaces will not have appropriate ingress and egress out through the right-of-way. The second issue with that right-of-way being depicted on the plan as being 2 feet further into the Knights of Columbus property than is actually the case is that when you get up to the top and you're talking about the egress into Main Street, which they're requiring. This piece of it here, with the new of the curb cut, 7 of 13 feet and 3 feet width is required by the area in the curb cut, which is over 6 feet of that easement that is available for them to egress from those spots. And I suggest to you that that 6 feet is not sufficient for passage of cars without going over the curbstone. And I further suggest to you, at least as I understand it, they intend on trying to have dump trucks and delivery trucks come down that right-of-way and into that, what they call the loading dock, which is the closest spot to the building on the Knights of Columbus side. I respectfully suggest that that simply is not going to be sufficient width to accommodate those deliveries. Now, there are issues as well with respect to further encroachment on the right-of-way. The right-of-way is by deed. We've had a title examiner go back to 1804, and the right-of-way is an express permission. I have advised the Knights of Columbus, however, though, if this property were to go through, if this petition, this project is to be approved, they're going to have to do something to protect that there's no further encroachment on their property, so that they will not be subject to an adverse possession claim at some point down the road. My suggestion, which I think they will act upon, is to create a fence along the surveyed line. If they create that fence, that's going to have a significant problem for the petitioner to get in and out of his lot. It's going to create a significant problem because based on where our survey puts the boundary on the ground, the people coming out of those last 4 parking spots are not going to be able to have a radius to turn and get out down the right-of-way. So for those reasons, the Knights of Columbus will erect the fence. There's also a liability issue, which again, I suggest that they delineate the boundary and erect a fence. The reason that the liability issue exists is by virtue of now using this right-of-way for continuous traffic back and forth, you're going to create 2 lanes of traffic on private property. 2 lanes of traffic passing in opposite directions. So you can tell the Knights of Columbus on where this is laid out. Their parking spots are back out, go around the building and exit. So you're going to have traffic in this direction. You're then going to have these people who are developed site coming out traveling in this direction. You're going to have 2 lanes of traffic. So, in order to protect the client from liability issues, and in order to protect them from any encroachment, if this plan is approved, there will be a fence that goes up. We don't have the survey plan to provide to you at this time. However, as I said, we were down on the site. We believe that as they've shown the right-of-way, they're not going to have sufficient room for the ingress and egress from this development to and from Main Street. So the Knights of Columbus does oppose the project at this time. They'd like to have their concerns addressed as to the public safety issues on the ingress and egress. They'd like to have the council, at least verify that these are the boundaries. What you've been provided with is a site plan, not an instrument plan. And we believe that if you are provided with an instrument survey, that you'll see that there's insufficient width on that right-of-way, unless they're going to move the curb cut and they're going to move the bump that was just put in there, I think only 3 or 4 years ago. There's simply insufficient room. And I can tell you that the Knights are not going to permit further encroachment on their property for delivery trucks and for trash removal. And there's simply not enough room for them to accomplish it. So for all those reasons, the Knights of Columbus are in opposition to this plan.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Come forward, please.
Tracy and Bill McDonald, 98 Rear Main Street. We own the house behind 98.
And could you speak right into the microphone,
sorry.
please? Just thank you.
We have concerns. Thank you. We have concerns for traffic flow. That's a big concern for us, considering what we already deal with our right-of-way. We have one access in and out to our home, and we deal with people parking there. It's blocked all the time from the main street. There's been many times where we pulled in and couldn't even come down because people running into the businesses, they're only going to be a few minutes, and they block us. And that's a big concern with all the traffic. This is going to add more traffic flow, and plus also with the apartments that live next to us. They have no parking, and they just park wherever too. So this is a problem that I think needs addressing, where we all need to work together to figure out, not an individual thing, because it's a unique situation that we deal with, and it's a really big concern for us. Also, dumpsters, I worry about rodents, and I'm sorry. I worry about rodents and trash removal. I also worry about the construction. I know I was given hours, but I was not given a time. So I don't know how long this construction is going to go, if it's going to be 6 months, if it'll be a year, 2 years indefinitely. I don't know, but I have to live there. So now it becomes a quality of life issue for me, how long we will be dealing with it. There was also one other thing, and I forget. No,
You want me to bring up this one?
no, I'm sorry. I'm trying to think. It was, I'm so sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. But I think the traffic flow is a major concern, the dumpsters,
Headlights in the
and
window.
that was it. The headlights pulling into our fence. My front window is right there, and I will have, with, it's shown on the plan, the cars will be pulling and facing
Yeah,
my
fence is about
home.
from here to the table
And
right there.
it's a chain link, and all the headlights will be going directly into my house. And that is another concern, because that's my living room. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you guys for your
Thanks.
time.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Seeing none? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Excuse me. Since July of 2015, I've had numerous discussions regarding this proposal. I've met with NASCAP, the current owners of the property, the real estate broker, community development, the applicant and his daughter, the architect, the applicant's attorney, the fire department, the Peabody Historical Commission, and the most directly impacted abutters, the McDonald's, representatives from the Knights of Columbus, and Mr. Jason Fu, the owner of 100 Main Street. I had hoped that an arrangement could be worked out to the satisfaction of all involved, but it's apparent from those that spoke in opposition this evening that that did not happen. This building was vacated by the current owners, NASCAP, over 2 years ago. The parking was blocked off for liability reasons. In its current state, the property is generating no value for its owner, the abutters, or the downtown in general. In the various committees on which I have participated over the years related to downtown improvement, a business use that has been consistently seen as lacking in the downtown is a coffee shop. The applicant is proposing a mixed-use development that includes a bakery and a coffee shop. The last time there was a special permit application for this property before the City Council was December 5th, 2013. This was before I was sworn in as Ward 2 Councilor. The application was for full residential use of 10 units, which was back down to 8, and that application was denied by the City Council. I agreed with that 2013 decision. I am not supportive of basement or first floor residential uses in the BC. At that time, there were opinions that commercial could not work in this building, and I didn't understand that position, as the property had been used commercially for decades. What it comes down to is finding the right developer with the right idea and an architect that can enable that idea, and I am hopeful that is what we have before us tonight in this application. This application is a mixed-use configuration. This is what Section 5 of zoning ordinance suggests the Peabody, the city should be encouraging in the BC zoning district. It's also recommended by the Downtown Peabody Brownfields Revitalization and Economic Development Plan, completed by the city in April of 2014. There is adequate parking to support 6 residential units. There has been a commitment made by the applicant to preserve the significant historical and architectural elements of the exterior of the building. In the 2013 proposal, there was some concern voiced at the public hearing about the impact of additional affordable housing in the downtown. To dispel some of those misconceptions about this application, this is not a 40B development. This is also for 6 units, which falls under the trigger of the city's inclusionary zoning ordinance of 8 units. Thus, all 6 units can rent or sell as condominiums at market rate. Establishing and maintaining these units as market rate is consistent with the Gateway City's initiatives to increase residential growth, expand diversity of housing stock, support economic development, and promote neighborhood stabilization in designated areas. The city's investment and ongoing efforts to improve the downtown are a factor in attracting this type of development. As various buyers considered uses for this building, demolition was at times considered a viable option. As indicated in the communication from the Peabody Historical Commission dated November 9, 2015, this is a historically significant building, and I believe preserving it is in the best interest of the community. A significant consideration for me is that the petitioner's family intends to run the bakery. Although they will not live there, they will be on-site working in the business up to 6 days per week. Thus, any issues that the abutters have can be made known to the owners and addressed rapidly. This development should not exhibit the problems often associated with absentee landlords. So I will support this special permit. I have a number of conditions which have been reviewed in advance by the applicant and his attorney, and to which they are agreeable. In many cases, these conditions would exist to address a number of the concerns raised by the abutters. I'll defer to other councilors at this point. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gravel.
Yes, thank you, Council President. And well, I appreciate the fine presentation put on by Councilor Slattery. I'm a little taken aback by it, particularly when it comes to we'll definitely put up a fence and all of that. Well, that sounds good, and that, you know, clearly is meant to dissuade anybody from doing anything. I remind the good council that the Knights take fair advantage of all of the surrounding properties themselves. If we all decided to put up fences, there'd be literally no parking spaces available for them. I own a property right across the street. Tonight, before I came here, there were 16 cars in my lot, none of them mine. And we have learned to work as good neighbors with the Knights to figure out a way to accommodate their needs and accommodate ours. When we first moved into that property, almost half of their bingo crowd was parking in our lot, destroying the landscaping, and leaving trash. We said no more. It's private property. But we came to an agreement with the Knights. How can we help? How can we work together to figure out a way that we can coexist to meet your needs and to meet our needs? What we came up with was the people who work the events at the Knights have a sticker on their car. They can park there, leaving the spaces that they would have used available for them, for their bingo players. Simple solution, but a cooperative solution. How is it that we're now going to say, let's put up a fence? Let's make it as difficult as possible to get somebody in and out of a property. Do we like the vacant building that's sitting there? I love the Knights. I am a Knight. But I'll tell you, that's not in the spirit of what I belong to. Spirit of what I belong to is let's try to coexist. They didn't want the 10 units in there. I didn't want the 10 units in there as an abutter. Nobody on this council hardly wanted the 10 units in there. Because we wanted mixed use. That was what we were promoting. We cannot continue to take proposals that, well, you know, we all said mixed use and bring the number of units down to 7 at the time or whatever, and now we're down to 6, and we still don't like it. Well, you know what? I get it. And the neighbors' aggravation, I get their aggravation. Believe me, I spend a good majority of time moving people in and out of a parking lot during a day when I should be working. But unfortunately, that's the nature of where we are, where there's limited spaces, and we have to call upon enforcement to make sure that whatever rules we set are abided by. That means, in my case, I have to call the police and say, could you come down and tell this person who's threatening me within an inch of my life to please move his car? And it's a pain. I get their pain. It is a pain. But we need to learn to coexist. That building remaining a vacant eyesore is not good for this city. It's not good for any neighbor. I strongly urge the Knights, don't put up a fence. Let's figure out a way that we can coexist and we can get something in there that's of value to this city. I recognize all that they do. Hey, we as businesses do a lot down there too. We give and we hope to get. I take nothing away from that. They don't want something in there intruding on their space, but in the same vein, I think threatening to put up a fence is not the way to be a good neighbor. And as far as a pole there, I've looked, I can't find the pole on that side, but if it's there, who owns the pole? Is it a city pole, or is it the Knights pole? I just don't believe that it's good to start out a relationship and say, gee, you know what, I'm just going to throw up a fence. And that'll make it really nice and difficult for you to get your car and your truck in and out of there. Listen, during the day, there's nobody in that parking lot. And every once in a while, we have to call them and say, we've got too many people in our parking lot. Can we use yours? And we cooperate together. Why can't we do that in this case? I don't understand. I intend to support this because it's right in line with what this city asked for in its downtown revitalization plan. It's 100% on target. But I asked the Knights, the opposing abutters, please, let's work together and figure out how we can do it, not why we can't. And let's not threaten each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Earlier this evening, we had a subcommittee meeting, and the Endicott building was brought up. And we lamented that we're stuck with this building, but that's a city-owned building, and people did put in proposals to buy that property, but over and over and over, the council rejected it. So we actually did that to ourselves with that property. This is a private property. They have a right to sell their property. They came before us 2 years ago, as has already been explained, and the council rejected it. Some of us were for it, some of us weren't. They didn't get the 8 votes necessary. It was rejected. But at that time, they were told, you have to do X, Y, and Z. You need to jump through this hoop, and you need to jump through that hoop, and then you come back to us, and we'll hear you again. Well, 2 years later, they've jumped through the hoops. They've provided X, Y, and Z, and they're here before us selling their private property. People have a right to sell their property. We may not like what they do with their property, but if it meets zoning, and if they've done everything that this council has asked them to do, they have a right to sell their property. All of us would never want to go through these things if we wanted to sell a piece of our property. And they have a right to sell it. We don't want a dilapidated building in our downtown area. And this really should be a dead issue at this point. So I'm certainly supporting this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Further comments? Councilor Sinowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. So, if you remember correctly, when this came originally before us, was it when Mr. Lee came, he wanted to put in, what, 9 apartments? 10 apartments? 11? 12? I don't remember the number. And the reason, if we remember back, is 4 doors up at Peabody Insurance Building, he came forward and had a proposal to add on and add 9 apartments, tiny apartments onto that building. And we all looked at it and we said, yeah, well, it's tight. The fire department had concerns, but we're going to keep the commercial on the first floor. Let's do it. And we all supported it. So then 6 or 7 months later, what did they do? They came back, reapplied, and took out the commercial on the first floor and put apartments. So that's why when Mr. Lee came, I think everybody was like, whoa, they're going to put in 9, 10 apartments, no commercial part of this project, and it's just going to be an apartment building, and that's not the vision that we want. We want commercial, retail on the first floor, and some units on the top. So I agree the building can't stay vacant. That doesn't accomplish anything. So through you to Attorney Slattery, Mr. President, Attorney Slattery, is there any compromise that what are the Knights looking for? The building, you know, will be sold at some point. What would that make them happy? Is there a way to make them happy? And the McDonald's have, see, just one point. Councilor Gravel and we all know you work together with the Knights, but they live there. We go home at night from the downtown. They live there. So something has to be made to accommodate their issues too, so they can get in their driveway at night.
Well, I certainly believe the Knights are open to discussion and compromise. I've only recently been added to the case. I have not had an opportunity to participate in that. In fact, that's why the in-ground survey is not done. Like I said, it has been preliminarily completed, but we don't have the plan. And I certainly think that a delay in acting on the special permit to give the parties time to discuss some kind of mutual compromise would be in everybody's best interest. I would like to respond to Councilor Gravel, though, because he is a longtime friend, and I do take somewhat of offense of characterization of threats. It's not a threat. Private property owners have a right to protect their boundaries. If you don't protect your own boundary and somebody continues to encroach upon it over the course of 20 years by adverse possession, you lose your property. To overlook the clear encroachment that will occur by trucks in passing away, that would enlarge that right-of-way without there having been any discussion about enlarging that right-of-way, without there having been any discussion of compensation to the Knights for losing that property. And the second issue, you put up a fence because I said you're going to create two opposing lanes of traffic with cars backing out at angles at the same time. Yes, there's a lot of dead time in there, but there's going to be a lot more cars there if this business goes in. There's going to be times when that parking lot is filled. If you don't have a fence up there, you're going to have people backing out into traffic traveling in each direction. So I do disagree with it as a threat. It is taken as a protective measure against liability and against further encroachment on their property. Again, I've only recently become involved with this case. However, I do think that if the council were to delay action on this for some time to allow the petitioner to meet with the Knights of Columbus and allow myself to have discussions with Mr. Kelty, there may be some room for compromise and a mutual agreement. I can tell you, though, that if our survey does turn out it's not a threat, if our survey does turn out, then their parking viability as set forward on this site plan is not viable at all. Okay, so whether the council votes for the permit or not, that's not going to ultimately determine whether that project goes forward. What will ultimately determine it is whether the survey, which preliminarily indicates that they don't have enough room, if that's what it indicates, and we have to take measures to protect the Knights from liability and to protect further encroachment on their property, then they're going to have to come back before you to seek some kind of amendment to that plan. Rather than go through all of that, if the council were of a mind to table it for the next meeting, that would at least allow some time for me, on behalf of the Knights of Columbus, to engage in discussion. And certainly, we'd want to arrive at a compromise that makes the Knights happy as well as the developer.
And I would support, they only can delay it so far, so if it comes to that, I would support doing that. But the only other thing, I would want to add an amendment to this. Because I'm not, what's the phrase, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. I want to make an amendment to this special permit that there'll be no residential units on the first floor or the basement. Because I'm not going to have what they did up the street. So we'll get to that. If there is something tonight, I will put that in. But I would like to see to recess and come back and hopefully work it out amicably.
Thank you, Council. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Attorney Slattery. Given the administrative realities of the council calendar and the reorganization that will take place in January, to delay this beyond tonight would result in essentially the applicant having to go back to square one, which I think at this point is a disadvantage to the applicant that I would not think is reasonable at this juncture. All the abutters had ample notice. These proceedings were already continued once. Unfortunately for the Knights, they waited to the point they did to embark on the survey activity. So that's unfortunate, but I don't see delaying action on this as reasonable at this juncture. Also, Mr. President, through you to Councilor Sinowitz, I do have a number of conditions and very specific that have already been agreed to, reviewed and agreed to in advance by the applicant, and the very first one specifically addresses the concern that you raised about residential on the first floor and in the basement. Thank you, Mr. President.
And if I may respond to
Attorney
Councilor
Slattery.
McGinn. Thank you, Councilor, and I certainly understand that situation, although I think if there was a refiling, it could move rather swiftly. Notwithstanding that, I would just call your attention to the fact of a grant of a permit that may have no practical application, given the fact that there has been no instrument survey provided to this council to show that the boundaries that are on their site plan are accurate. Given that we have an instrument survey ongoing right now, with the preliminary results are that that survey is not inaccurate. And the reason I mention the telephone pole is because that is the most obvious issue where it's different. They have the telephone pole within the right-of-way. We have the telephone pole 2 feet beyond, closer to their property line. So all I'm saying is, with respect to, I certainly wouldn't presume to tell the council what to do. That's your responsibility, that's your obligation, and that's your right. All I'm saying is that there is also a practical side to whether or not this development that you're looking to approve will actually happen, given whether or not they have the appropriate ingress and egress once that survey is completed.
Thank you. Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. Just quickly to address one of the points that Attorney Slattery raised, and I think Councilor Gravel articulated this. No matter where you find that pole to land, I don't know that you can assert that you necessarily own it. So that remains in question as well. So I think hinging the proceedings on a pole that the Knights may or may not own it would not be an action that I'd be comfortable with this evening. Thank you.
And if I may, Mr. President, I'm not hinging the action on that pole, Councilor. What I'm pointing out to you is that the pole demonstrates that the boundaries that they have for their right-of-way that they've submitted to you on the site plan to support the parking spaces is inaccurate. That our survey casts doubt on their boundary lines because the survey is showing that rather than being within the boundary of the right-of-way going down, that is on their property, and that the right-of-way is 2 feet closer to their property. And they're including that 2 feet as a matter of the right-of-way to prove that they have ingress and egress. So it's not the removal of or the moving of the telephone pole. What I'm explaining to you is that telephone pole right on their plan demonstrates with what's on the ground that what they've given to you on their site plan appears to be an expanded view of the right-of-way.
Thank you. You all set, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Gravel, then Councilor Manning Martin.
Sure. I certainly didn't mean to offend my good friend, Councilor Slattery, by using the word threat. Maybe I should put it differently. Insisting that there has to be a fence there instead of working cooperatively, to me, is just not a good thing for a good neighbor to do. And I was trying to make the point that when we moved into our building down there, we were told to be a good neighbor, and we have been. If all of us took the same approach and said, well, we've got liability issues, so we should all put up fences around our properties, then I'm telling you, there would be no parking down there at all. That's all I'm trying to make the point of. I would rather see them try to figure out a way that they can exist where their rights aren't taken away, but in the same vein that we don't have to put something up there that just makes it more difficult to develop. I don't know what his survey is going to show, but if his survey shows that, you know, Council Slattery's right, then so be it. And they have every right in the world to put up a fence. That doesn't mean they have to. Just means they have the right to. That's all I'm trying to say.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Attorney Kelty, please. Jack, can you tell me, I might be missing it, is there the existing fire lane which says no parking zone, the east side of the building? Is that the right-of-way going, is that the means of getting traffic in?
That's the means of getting access to the parking on that side of the parking lot. The one on this side is the means of getting access to the parking spaces that face this side.
And as I look on the map, after space, on the north side of space 1, that's a large open area? Space 1, no, the other side of it, right there. Is that an area that traffic will flow through?
Yes. And that's how you access this.
Is it one way in and one way out?
Could be, but we don't have control over.
But why won't it be?
We can't tell the people that share in that right-of-way on the other side that they can't come out because we're coming in. That's their only access.
But to alleviate, yes, Mr. President? To alleviate the point that Attorney Slattery brought up of cars going both ways on the west side of the building, why wouldn't it be restrictive of one way in and one way out?
Because we can't restrict the rights of way.
The right of way for that back building. For the right of way is for the back apartment building.
Right. And they have the right to come in and to come out. I'm sorry. They have the right to come in and come out.
Correct. So but you're going to end up at a quagmire, to Attorney Slattery's point, especially if they do put a fence up. You're not going to be able to get 2 lanes of traffic going in and out on the west side of that building.
The 1980 site plan that was submitted with NASCAP is a licensed survey. It's a certified survey, and it's part of the building inspectors, or the inspectional services department here in Peabody. So it's part of their record. That's where I got it. That's where I've gotten all of this site information. The right-of-ways exist, and they can't be obstructed. This right-of-way was turned into a fire lane because of these properties back here. The fire department couldn't get back here. When I talked to the fire department, they said they use this parking area as a fire lane, so they're not declaring this as a fire lane. And I think since this fire lane has been extended vertically between these 2 buildings. So that's on the assessor's map. But what the issue is here is that the Knights of Columbus would put their fence here and back to this point here. This right-of-way has to be left open. Now, if it's, if the survey is not right and this is moved a couple feet, it's still going to be, the right-of-way has to be maintained. The Knights of Columbus fence will be here, and that will kill their parking all the way back to the back here. Well, the curb cut is an issue, yeah. Right now, the curb cut was put in, and everybody uses the outside of the right-of-way to get into the property. Once you get into the property, then you can go into the right-of-way.
So, sir,
let me point out what happens here with the traffic. The traffic now comes in this way, goes down to the library, and they have angled parking that the traffic to get back out on Main Street is opposite, is also a problem. So, and I didn't show that on here. So there's no exit, legal exit from here, because you can't have two-way traffic on, when these cars are backing out like this.
How wide is that existing right-of-way?
13 feet. Both of them are 13 feet.
And is 13 feet wide enough to get 2 lanes of traffic in and out?
I don't think so.
No. So if the fence goes up,
well, they're not going to be able to get to their parking either. They're not going to have the back-out space because of it hitting the fence.
I don't intend to have 2 lanes of traffic. I mean, one car, if I'm entering, then I'm not going to come out of the parking space and try to get out as you're entering. So, I mean, it is extremely tight, but we can't restrict either of the right-of-ways to one way. They're not public ways. They're not, people have rights that are competing.
Thank you. Councilor Gould? Further questions, councilors? Councilor Driscoll?
So it's just a question of density. It seems like, how did you come, is there any movement with regards to the number of apartments?
No.
That would be my only question.
No. We're down to 6. It was at 10. So I answered.
You all set, Councilor Driscoll?
Well, I think the issue, the compromise issue, is you have a density issue, you have a traffic issue. So what I'm trying to get you to think about it a little bit is if you have less people there and less cars, then maybe some of that issue may go away just a bit.
It won't fit into a business plan.
Business plan.
Do you want to speak?
We like to evolve our business plans.
When NASDAQ was using the site, there was no problem. The Knights of Columbus got along with NASDAQ NASCAP, as far as I understand. NASCAP is an office occupancy. They don't use that parking lot at night and on the weekends, and that works great for the Knights of Columbus because they can use that parking lot, and I'm sure that they did use that parking lot. And I'm sure that they went through the parking lot and used the eastern side of the right-of-way, but I don't know that. I haven't observed it. But the congestion that happens in this area when there's an event at the Knights of Columbus is really, difficult. It's a difficult place, and it's a difficult place to get in and out of. And when NASCAP was occupying this building, on the weekends and during the night, people could either park here or go through, and I'm sure that they did. I'm sure that there was no restriction to the use of the product. Now we've got residential, so the weekends and the evenings, the residentials have to be occupied. I mean, the people have to be able to park their cars on the site. So those parking spaces and that access to that parking area goes away with a residential occupancy. If you had an office occupancy, the hours of offices would work for the Knights of Columbus, and in fact, we wouldn't even have to be here if we were if you had an office a commercial occupancy. There would be no reason for a special permit, because the residential is the critical piece here.
Thank you. Attorney Kelty?
Thank you.
You all set? Yep. Councilor Driscoll, you're all set? Councilor McGinn?
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Gould, a couple of points that you raised about the two-way traffic. And Attorney Kelty, you could speak to this, and I'm sensitive to the point you raised about you cannot restrict the flow of the right-of-way. However, for the applicant's tenants, they can establish a flow.
Sure, we could.
So I think the flow that you're most concerned about is the actual cars that'll be using that lot, and that flow can be controlled. What I think Attorney Kelty is trying to indicate is that other users, such as the McDonald's, can't be told that it's now all of a sudden a one-way. Is that
Their only way.
So the comfort here comes from that the vast majority of the users will be using a one-way flow. With respect to the bump out, that if you had a look at that is a very wide sidewalk in that location, and I believe there is room to get across the sidewalk and into the right-of-way for a car. Certainly not for a truck, but I believe a car can navigate that into the right-of-way.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sinowitz.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out, when I drove by the property and stopped for a few minutes, this three-story apartment building over here, there was a lot of traffic in there. There was a lot of parking. So that's a whole nother thing that we're not visualizing. That whole side, and I don't even know where they are as to, directly across the street from where they want to park and egress. I don't know where they're parking, but they are parking in the fire lane. They're parking everywhere. So if the fire lane's enforced and the fence goes up, you got major problems there. So I would think the best thing to do, and you probably don't want to do it, try to work it out, and if not, come back and vote on it. And, but I just thought it was funny when they asked if they could reduce the number of units. Mr. Kelty said that doesn't go into their business plan. Whoa, business plan, I never heard of a business plan. We didn't know of it on the museum, but they got one for this little property. So I'm glad to see they have a business plan. If you reduce the number of units, they can't make it financially viable. So I get it. So my recommendation, try to work it out. If you can't, vote on it and let the chips fall where they may in court.
Thank you, Councilor. Further comments from any of the council? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to close the public hearing.
On the motion to close the public hearing, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is going to be rather lengthy, so please bear with me. Move to approve the application from Adriano Tejano, 182 Lake Drive, Hamilton, Mass. For a special permit seeking to develop a commercial/residential mixed-use occupancy consisting of 6 residential units on 2 floors, providing 14 parking spaces at 98 Main Street, Peabody, Mass. Is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.1, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance with the following conditions. Number 1, there shall be a maximum total of 6 dwelling units in a single structure on the lot. There shall be a maximum of 3 total dwelling units on the second level of the structure, and a maximum total of 3 dwelling units on the third level of the structure, and no dwelling units on the first level of the structure, and no dwelling units on the basement level of the structure. Number 2, petitioner shall make reasonable commercial effort to maintain all dwelling units as market rate apartments or condominiums. Number 3, all exterior renovations to the structure shall be carried out in a manner consistent with the communication from the Peabody Historical Commission dated November 9, 2015. Number 4, no apparatus, including but not limited to antennas or satellite receiving dishes, shall be placed on any roof or any facade of the structure where visible from Main Street. Number 5, no window air conditioners or similar apparatus shall be installed in windows of the structure. Number 6, any sign for a commercial use in the structure shall comply with the zoning ordinances of the City of Peabody and be subject to review by the Peabody Historical Commission. Number 7, no snow storage is permitted on the site, and all snow shall be removed to an acceptable location. Number 8, all trash and recycling shall be contained in the rear of the structure, not visible from the street, and adequately screened such that it is not visible to abutters, and such trash and recycling storage location shall be indicated on the final version of the site plan and shall be approved by the Construction Review Committee and Planning Board as a functioning of site plan review. Number 9, in accordance with the special permit application, trash and recycling materials shall be removed by a private trash removal service, and no municipal trash pickup will be provided. For the avoidance of doubt, trash collection shall be in accordance with the ordinances of the City of Peabody, and no trash refuse or recycling collection shall occur between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. on any days of the week. Number 10, no pickup or delivery of supplies associated with the commercial use to the structure and utilizing trucks shall occur between the hours of 5 p.m. and 7 a.m. on any day of the week, and trucks carrying out such pickup and delivery activities shall utilize dedicated loading zones on Main Street and shall utilize a single and large parking spot directly adjacent to the rear of the structure. Number 11, fencing and/or landscaping shall be established and maintained on the northeasterly property line such that an adequate year-round screening of automotive headlights is established to prevent light from such headlights from creating nuisance condition on abutters' properties. The exact nature of such fencing and/or landscaping shall be presented by the petitioner to the abutters for comment, and upon receipt of such comment, a diagram illustrating such fencing and/or landscaping shall be provided and shall be approved by the Construction Review Committee and Planning Board as a function of site plan review. Number 12, if possible, given the limitations of the site, landscaping shall be established and maintained in accordance with the provisions of Section 10.5.3C2 and 5.28 of the City of Peabody zoning ordinance, and shall be approved by the Construction Review Committee and Planning Board as a function of site plan review. Number 13, petitioner shall notify residential tenants of dwelling units in lease documents and otherwise the guests of residential tenants of dwelling units, customers of commercial use, and such providers of commercial use, such as delivery vehicles and waste removal trucks, that they shall not park on the property of abutters unless an agreement is established between the petitioners and the abutters to allow such parking. Number 14, business hours of the operation shall be from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m., 7 days per week. Number 15, in accordance with the special permit application, construction hours of operation shall be from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on Saturday. Number 16, construction equipment, construction supplies, demolition equipment, and all dumpsters utilized for demolition and construction shall be stored and adjacent to the rear of the structure as far from the northeasterly property line as reasonably practical. Number 17, food establishment plan received application must be submitted to the Peabody Health Department prior to start of construction. Number 18, barriers currently surrounding the parking area shall be removed from the property no later than at the time of granting of occupancy permit. Number 19, fire protection is required with change of use. Fire department access shall be maintained. There shall be no interference with the established fire lane adjacent to the easterly property line. Number 20, in proportion with the petitioner's interest in the right-of-way and fire lane adjacent to the eastern property line, petitioner shall make reasonable commercial effort to work with abutters to undertake maintenance of such right-of-way and fire lane, including improvements and snow removal. Number 21, the project shall be submitted to site plan review and approved by the Construction Review Committee and Planning Board in accordance with the provisions of Section 12 and Section 5 of the City of Peabody zoning ordinance. 22, alleged violations of special permit conditions may result in a show cause hearing at the Peabody City Council. So moved.
Mr. President, if I could.
The zoning ordinance.
Counselor, could you repeat those, please?
Didn't we do the zoning ordinance a couple years ago?
Okay, councilors. Councilor Mitsoulas.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm really not comfortable voting on this, Peter. I do want to support you, but I wish you would recess it to see if there's...
The problem is, if we recess it, it will go into the next legislative session and have to start over.
Yeah, okay. Putting us in a bind here.
I mean, with the special permit like that, are you
all set, Demo?
Are you all set, Jim?
You all set?
I'm sorry. With the special permit like that, I mean, we can see it's putting a square peg in a round hole here. You know, so I mean, to me personally, if we have to go to the first of the year, what's the difference? I mean, that's just my take on it. Thank you.
Councilor Sinowitz.
Mr. President, I'd like to make an amendment to the motion to recess this public hearing until the next available date, and with all those restrictions that Mr. Councilor McGinn put in place. So moved.
There's no available date. Okay. Okay. Councilor Manning Martin, Councilor McGinn.
I don't know how we act on that. I think I overheard your comment. There is no available date to recess it to. So, Councilor Sinowitz, do you have another idea?
Well, I don't. And I don't think you want to lose the vote. So I would just think that some way work it out to make a compromise. You know, it's a shame it's had to come to this, but I would meet with your clients here quickly and see if they can work something out with the attorney, and so be it. And I don't know it per se when you say there's no available date, so he has to re-advertise. Is that what you're saying?
For a new council.
They'll have to resubmit to a new council.
To resubmit, so you got to, what,
the entire process has to begin anew.
So you wouldn't be looking until February, is what you're saying?
Correct. Councilor Manning Martin.
Yeah, this is getting to a point where we're not being fair. We're just plain old not being fair to the petitioner, and we should call it to a vote. We're not being fair.
I'll rescind the motion.
Okay. Okay. Councilor Sinowitz has withdrawn his amendment. Councilor Osborne, did you have a comment? Counselor, could you speak into your microphone, please? Oh, it's not working. Can you borrow? You're done. You get your present. Go. No. Yeah. Could you take Counselor Driscoll's?
His term's not over.
No. Wow. How's that? No, listen, I wish just we could hear from the Knights of, what are they looking for? No, we asked them at the previous hearing, we did not get an answer. We asked them through their attorney this meeting, and he is new to the case and could not provide an answer. I don't know if there is a compromise here. I'm always for compromise and listening, but they have not come forward and said, what do they want? Is there a compromise in their eyes? And I don't think there is, or else they would have offered it up.
Thank you, Counselor. Further comments? If not, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian.
No.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne.
Yes.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. No. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-2.
Thank you, councilors.
Okay, councilors, we have item 4G, which is a special permit application from PBDRD LLC, and I will have the clerk read the notice of public hearing.
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as a special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, December 10, 2015, at 7:30 p.m. in the Franco Wigan Auditorium, City Hall, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass. On the application from PBDRD LLC, 202 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. For a special permit to operate a kennel at said 202 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. Is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. Detailed plans and specifications will be made available at the time of the public hearing. Peabody City Council, Councilor Thomas P. Walsh, City Council President.
Attorney Kelty.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the Peabody City Council. My name is John Kelty. I am an attorney, and I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts. I appear this evening on behalf of PBDRD LLC, who intends to purchase the building and do business at 202 Newbury Street in Peabody, Massachusetts. 202 Newbury Street is north of Latitudes. It's the building that housed some seasonal furniture. Frank Martino's Deli was there, and there was some law offices and the like. It's a fairly tired commercial property, and my client's intention, test at the back. My client's intention is to renovate the property and house it with his kennel. Mr. Schneider, Ray Schneider, who's here this evening, has one such operation in Boston, Massachusetts. It's kind of a doggy daycare. It's a kind of a spa for the pets that you leave there with them, and it also provides kennel services which will allow pets to be kept overnight while you vacation, etc. The Dog Pet Resort began in 2007 with the vision of its owner, Ray Schneider, to create a 4-star hotel for pet owners' loved ones. The best in accommodations, services, amenities are offered at least at the 2 locations, one in Cincinnati and the first location in Boston. Pickup and delivery services will be provided for clients within a 5-mile radius during business hours. They'll come and get your dog and bring it here. We had met with the Conservation Commission, Conservation representative. We have another business plan, Councilor Sinowitz. However, it's different business. This is the Peabody Red Dog Waste Management Plan, and we will file that with the Conservation Commission at the request of Lucia Del Negro. And what it says is that Red Dog understands neighbors who would be concerned with regards to waste disposal management at a new facility such as ours. Dogs are set out into the relief yards 3 times a day. After each dog, the yard is cleaned and the feces bagged and placed into a larger bag, which at the end of the day is tied, closed, and placed into the waste dumpster. Dumpster will be scheduled to be emptied every other week. Indoor accidents and cat feces are also cleaned up as soon as detected and the area disinfected. Again, these are bagged, placed into a larger bag, which is tied closed, and placed into the waste dumpster at the end of the day. Indoor, anyway, that's probably enough information. This would be the first such facility on the North Shore. Raymond is extremely excited about the possibilities that this will present. It'll be this particular use would be the principal tenant in the building, and it'll allow Raymond to make the renovations that he would like to make to the entire property, keeping a couple of the tenants, or at least one of the tenants for the time being. Did you want to give those out? This is Mr. Schneider, and I think he wants to share a brochure. And Ray, did you want to? Yeah, I'll take it. Ray can go on, by the way. President didn't get one. Nor do I. Take the microphone, name and address, and yeah.
Raymond Schneider. My address is Cincinnati, Ohio. Started the pet business in '07. I'm a healthcare provider since 1968. I take care of people 24/7. I take care of dogs 24/7. And I look forward to coming to Peabody. I came to Boston in 11. We have about 12,000 customers, and they come in a worry. They leave with a big smile. We take care of people, your dogs for daycare. We get them exhausted, so they come home. You don't have to, worry about running them around. We take care of them overnight if you go on vacation or you're remodeling your house or something like that. We do pickup and delivery, training, and grooming. So we have a full service, first class. I invite everybody to come in if you like. In Boston, we're in South Boston, and we've cleaned up the neighborhood, and we do a first class job. We have 3 of them in Cincinnati, and I look forward to being in Peabody.
What's the expected number of jobs?
We should have anywhere from 24 to 26 jobs, depending on the need. We do about 65 jobs in Boston right now. I hope to come back next spring. I've got a full business plan now, and I'll have a better business plan later so that CDA can finally loan me some money. I might be a big guy, but I need help just like everybody else. So I appreciate your help. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All set, check it? Yeah. Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor of this petition? Is there anyone who would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this petition? Anybody in opposition? Seeing none. Councilor Manning Martin?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You have an indoor heated pool,
Yep.
hands-on fitness sessions, private sessions by appointment. Do you take humans?
Right.
Do you take humans? I think this is probably
I'm gonna
probably
laugh.
better than my gym.
I'll say that 75% that come through say it's nicer than their home. What I've done is I looked at making it first class. It's clean, it smells good. Most of my customers are ladies because they're
An
the
indoor
decision
heated
makers.
pool.
In Boston, we have a pool here. We're not going to have a pool for right now. But we take care of the four-legged friend as best as anybody could ever ask.
I would imagine people that love their animals will love this place, that's for sure.
Well, us guys are worried because the ladies like them more than us at times. And unfortunately, they sleep in bed with them, and they're in between us and the other half.
Okay, good. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you. Glad to see we're getting off on a positive note. Just a couple of quick questions. It is dogs and cats, just to clarify? Okay. And I see that you have some hours of operation, and my only question about that is, where it is going to be a kennel overnight boarding, is the hours of operation through to Attorney Kelty, is that for drop-off and pickup? So,
Yes.
Okay. Very good.
That's drop-off, pickup, and having real access to the premises.
Okay. And I appreciate the waste management plan, anticipating that was going to be a concern of mine after reading the letters from from the other city officials. So where is, just so I understand, and just to bring it back, so the goal is to purchase the property? Is this something 3 months, 6 months, a year? What's the goal?
The goal is to create jobs and taxes, take care of family. I intend to buy the property, if everything goes well, by the end of January. I'm working with North Shore Bank, and if everything goes well, we should be doing our renovations in February through June, and hopefully between June and July opening up.
Okay. One of the things I was happy to see is, as you're all aware, there are no residential butters, so I think it's appropriate facility in that regard. As far as when the animals have to relieve themselves, so where are they actually going to be relieving themselves? Because there is no grass, there's no...
No, to the...
It'll be on the north side of the building, the rear of the building. We own an acre, it's wetlands, and we own 2 acres, which is finished surface. The entrance on...
kind of behind Martino's.
Okay. And so, so I'm not really, I have to ask the question, I'm not really worried about solid waste. I assume you can remove that, but how do you know better than me, how do you control urine and smell and things of that nature?
We wash it, we foam it, we have a disinfectant, and we keep it clean. You can come to our place. We've been open 6 years in Boston. You can walk through and you won't have any smells. We have a lot of dogs. They do relieve themselves because they have a choice, but we take them out often so that they can learn the right procedures.
Thank you. I think it's a great location. Businesses have struggled there. We have a hard time attracting people to go to that location, so I think attracting animals should work out much better. Also, I want to let you know that Peabody is a welcome community to animals, and we've been trying to get a dog park for a number of years. I don't know if you're aware of that, but that's something that is still right in the corner office, and we're working on that diligently, so just to let you know about that.
I'll be more than happy to help you.
Appreciate that.
I have a 3-acre dog park in Cincinnati, and it's got a fountain and play areas. It's fenced and well landscaped.
I have no further questions. Open up to my fellow councilors.
Thank you, Councilor Sasslaw. Further questions, councilors? Councilor Sasslaw.
One last question, as far as the number of, I know the other kennels, we give them a number of, for lack of a better word, an occupancy permit. What number, I'd like to see a number put on that because of past practices. I found it's worked best. Did you have a number in mind?
I'm not sure of the exact kennel spaces, but I can only put in what will fit in the building, and the building's limited.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a number, but I take care of guests, and some guests are 2 in a room, keep the family together. Right now I don't know the exact number, but we will be taking care of more than 75 dogs, I can tell you that.
So you want 75 total cats and dogs? Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'll probably have more, but I'm just saying on an average in a day, that's probably what we'll have in for our daycare.
Kennel is kind of a finite number in terms of the overnights.
Mm-hmm.
However, the daycare unit, that number could change based on...
Well, it can change, but for past applicants who've come before us, we have put a finite number, and then we've asked them if everything goes well to come back, 6 months, a year later.
I don't want to come back. I would like to be able to build. I mean, the building is fixed. We have. All right. Well, I'll ask for a number for 300, just to throw a number, so I don't have to come back.
300?
Yeah.
I'll go 50. Now let's meet. I mean, 300 cats and dogs. That's just.
I take care of in Boston comfortably. There's no disturbance to anybody. I take care of them inside my house, in the building. And this Christmas, we're going to have 300 guests. And they're all going to be comfortable, clean, housed. The space there is 30,000. This is 20,000. So I don't know, because my guests comment, we're starting a new program. We're going to have no kennel overnights. So in our daycare, we could have 15 to 40 dogs staying with one of our employees in a room. Can I ask why you have to have a limited number?
Well-
Why do we always have to be limited?
Well, it doesn't have to be limited. It can always increase or decrease, but, I try and do my diligence, and according to the, just to give a point of reference, the maximum in the city right now is 60 in the kennel. So,
Well, we don't consider ours kennels. They're suites. We treat our dogs very well. They're not like a SPCA. They're treated first class. Our suites have TVs in them. We feed them. We've got special food. We do a unique job. We're not the typical kennel that everybody refers to. We never use the word kennel because that connotates the SPCA or an unclean place.
and I understand, and I appreciate that. I think every person whose occupation to take care of animals feels the same way. So let me just say that. I'd like to put a cap of 200 on it. I think, the place isn't
That's
built
fine.
yet. Okay.
If I do a good job, I'll be back.
Absolutely. We hope to
The
see you back.
customer will call me back.
Okay, and I have 2 cats, and I'll come down and visit.
And
them.
I invite you to come in when we open up.
We will. Thank you very much. So, unless any other councilors, go ahead.
Thank you, Counsel. You're all set? Councilor McGinn.
Yeah, just through you to Council Sasso, I just wanted to point out that 8O and 8Q, I think, are tied to this.
Yeah, motion to receive under suspension rules 8O, 8Q, and 8A, I believe.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Items 8O, 8Q, and which was the other one, Councilor?
8A, I believe.
8A. Okay, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw?
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application from Peabody RD LLC, 202 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. for a special permit to operate a kennel. It said 202 Newbury Street, Peabody, Mass. is filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody Zoning Board with a maximum capacity of 200 guests at any one point in time. All papers being in order.
Councilors, you heard the motion. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to Councilor Sasslaw, would you be agreeable to including the condition recommended in 8A regarding the pet waste management plan? And the it's the second bullet. I think the commission recommends the city council require a pet waste management plan as part of a condition for the special permit application. The plan should be made part of the special permit if possible.
Actually, I believe Council Kelty alluded to the fact that he does have a
I
waste
have
management
it,
plan that
and
you
I
are
just
submitting.
haven't distributed it yet.
Okay.
So I'll file it with Lucia and with Sharon Cameron.
Fine, we'll make the waste management plan part of the special permit application, please.
Thank you, councilors. Further comments? Roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Osborne.
Yep.
Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Late at night.
Thank you, councilors. And I too would like to thank Bob and Barry. You guys are going to open some kind of store or something for their many years of service, and also all the other councilors and for your service and for the good work you do. And have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Happy Hanukkah.
Okay, councilors, we'll move on to item 5, reports of committees. Finance Committee, Councilor Gravel.
Sometime earlier this evening, we had a meeting. Of the Finance Committee, and attending on behalf of the committee were myself as chair, Councilor McGinn, Councilor Gould, Councilor Driscoll, and Councilor Manning Martin. Also present were Councilor Mitsoulas, Walsh, Osborne, Sasslaw, and Sinowitz. As a part of that meeting, we had a first item, which was a proposed ordinance amendment to the staffing for the fire department. After some discussion, it was explained that the net result was that we would have additional working lieutenants in the stations for safety purposes. A proposal was made, a motion was made, and it was approved unanimously. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor. On that motion, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould. Yes. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
We also discussed the proposed ordinance amendment affecting the salary and ordinance for part-time and full-time non-union positions. The mayor expressed the concern to change the salaries of some of the positions, which he read at that into the record at that particular meeting. He also requested that we approve a salary increase of 1.75% for the first year, 2% for the second year, 2% for the third year, retroactive to July 1st, 2015. That a motion was made, it was approved on a vote of 4-1. So moved.
Okay, that's a motion to adopt is amended and advertised. Roll call.
That is correct.
Councilors Mitsoulas. Gould. Sasslaw.
No.
Garabedian. Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
No.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
No.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-3.
Councilor Gravel.
Oh, in conjunction with that item, there were also two requests made, one by Councilor McGinn, one by Councilor Manning Martin. The first request by Councilor McGinn was that the code description for certain positions be changed to reflect the actual code, and there's some issue about that where he asked that that be referred to the Finance Committee. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Gravel.
Councilor Manning Martin also made the motion to refer to the Finance Committee a review of the ordinance positions and to allow the mayor to make recommendations as to which ones should not be included in the ordinance for future purposes. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Gravel.
There was a request for a transfer of funds from unreserved fund balance in the amount of $501,500 to this fire salaries account in the amount of $492,500 and the fire alarm salaries account in the amount of $9,000 as settlement of the contract with the firefighters union. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin. This is the, okay, absent, okay. Osborne. Yes. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 9-0, 2 absent.
Councilor Gravel.
There was also a request for a transfer of funds from the unreserved fund balance in the amount of $158,458 to various department salaries in the amount of $158,458 to fund the salary increases for the ordinance positions. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin. This is the transfer of funds for the salary ordinance, $158,000. The non-union salary ordinance, the transfer of funds.
No.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
No.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 8-2. One absent.
The item E on the agenda this evening was the request for a transfer of funds to fund the from retained earnings skating rink in the amount of $2,509 to skating rink salary in the amount of $2,509. That was approved by unanimous vote. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 9 to 1 absent.
Was a item on the agenda requesting a transfer of funds from the retained earnings golf course in the amount of $4,208 to golf course salaries in the amount of $2,128 and golf course salaries in the amount of $2,080, two separate accounts. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas. Gould.
Yes.
Garabedian. I'm sorry. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel. Getting
Yes.
tired. McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 9 to 1 absent.
There was also under suspension rules, there was a transfer of salaries for the Council on Aging account. The request was to transfer from the unreserved fund balance in the amount of $31,572 to the Council on Aging salaries account 100-5310-51-110 in the amount of $31,572. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 10 to 0, 1 absent.
Next, there was a request for transfer of funds from the unreserved fund balance in the amount of $155,845 to the DPS capital equipment account for the amount of $155,845 for the purpose of purchasing a front-end loader. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould. Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 10 to 0, 1 absent.
Finally, there was a request to enter into a purchase and sale agreement with the All Saints Episcopal Church at the North Shore, 12 and 16 Washington Street, with the use of community development funds. After much discussion, that was approved on a vote of 4 to 1. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, roll call.
Councilors Mitsoulas.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Sasslaw.
Yes.
Gravel.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
No.
Osborne. Driscoll.
Yes.
Sinowitz. Walsh.
Yes.
Motion carries 8 to 2, 1 absent.
Councilor Gravel.
No further motion.
Thank you. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Industrial Community Development met December 3rd, and in attendance was myself, Councilor Garabedian, Councilor McGinn, Councilor Manning Martin, Councilor Driscoll. Our purpose was to further review the proposed zoning map amendment request from Norland Associates, 199 Rosewood Drive, regarding property at 274 Newbury Street. Norland is requesting that the zoning designation be changed from MH to BR. Committee requested a legal opinion on October 8th, asking the city solicitor to review the MH zoning designation and make a recommendation as to whether or not a zoning amendment would be required. The question at that time was whether or not, due to previous litigation in 1999, if this parcel would have been part of the lawsuit settlement redesignating certain parcels from MH to BH. The legal opinion from the city solicitor was received by the committee on December 3rd. The opinion was that a zoning amendment would be required to change said parcel from MH to BH, and that this parcel was not part of the 1999 lawsuit settlement. Following recommendation was approved. Councilor Driscoll made a motion that the request from Norland Associates, 199 Rosewood Drive, Danvers, requesting to redesignate property at 274 Newbury Street, map 18, parcel 95 from BH to BR1 be forwarded to the planning board to initiate the zoning amendment process in accordance with Chapter 40A of the Massachusetts General Laws. This carried 3 to 2. Councilor, 3 to 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. On that motion, all in favor? Councilor Sinowitz.
The motion is to send to the planning board to start the hearings. Yeah.
All set, councilors? All those in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Gould.
No further reports from committee.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Osborne, sorry, I skipped you.
How appropriate. The Legal Affairs Committee met on Thursday evening, December 3rd, 2015, to review the City Council special permit application process. The application was reviewed based on the previous matter involving a special permit filing. In attendance on the committee were myself as chair, Councilors Mazulis, Garabedian, Gravel, and McGinn. Building Inspector Al Tallarico submitted recommended changes to the City Council. The recommended changes were that the applicant and property owner sign the application, no plan be accepted which has been altered with post-stamp markings or a copy thereof originally drawn by a civil engineer or surveyor. In addition, a statement regarding false or unauthorized materials submitted to the council will result in an enforcement action was added, which has been previously reviewed by the city solicitor. Those changes were agreed upon by the committee, and the city clerk was requested to submit a draft of the revised special permit application for review, which I think he has done, which I think we've received. So with that, it's taken as a report of progress, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sinowitz.
I just want to make a comment, and I think that we're on the right path with the special permit redo. The only thing I'd like to see, every time somebody applies for a permit, we always get, it says name and address of the permit person applying, and it's always some, you know, AJS Realty Trust out of so. I'd like to see a person's name and address of who's applying and not some trust out in the middle of Boston or Rhode Island. Is that legal? I mean, can we require them to put the, I'd like to know who's applying rather than some, it says name and address of person applying, so it's the trust.
Yeah, but through the chair, the purpose of the trust is it is an entity, so you can't require that the trustee or the administrator be named. I mean, that's why people put it up as a trust. It's for the purpose of a business.
Just would be nice to know who you're
It would
dealing
be.
with. And all right, it's on the what? Sometimes it's the attorney who applies, so that's okay.
Well, it's in committee, so we can continue that. Okay, Councilor Osborne, you're all set?
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Okay, so on that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. It's a report of progress. Okay, motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion to have a tree checked at 19 Whitney Drive. Appears as though it's dead, and fix a sidewalk while at it. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor Gould.
Also like to make a motion to have a pothole fixed at the corner of James Street and Perkins. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gould.
Tim, I'd like to see if we could send a letter of commendation or thanks to Chief Griffin for the fine job they did in busting up a drug and prostitution ring at 9 Dock Lane. There was actually the FBI involved and the police department last Friday night for hours on end. Tim, they're keeping your neighborhood safe. It's right around the corner from you. So I'd like to make some kind of thank you letter, Tim, if you could, please. Thank you. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gould.
And lastly, I'd like to thank Bob and Barry for everything you've done for the city, and you've been a great mentor to me, both of you, so thank you. And going to miss your humor, both of you, so thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sasslaw.
Thank you, yes. I'd like to make a motion that the police department inspect 3 Anthony Road. Numerous complaints from the residents of unregistered and junk vehicles that I believe are out of, that is not allowable. So make that motion, please.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
Under suspension of rules, motion to receive item 8I.
Motion to receive item 8I.
And
all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
And I'd like to also thank Council Driscoll coming on the first year, you being the president, It was really appreciative of working with me that first year. And Barry, once again, your humor, it was great. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you guys did.
Councilor Gravel.
I'd like to make a motion to send a very nice commendation. Actually, I'd like to deliver the commendation, if I could, to Lion War Motors for a generous donation of $30,000 to the PBD Education Foundation to support our Best Bet grants. So moved.
On that motion, councilors? All in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Gravel.
And I as well would like to say it's been a pleasure. I hope you come back and visit. Don't be afraid to text us. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8B. So moved.
Item 8B, councilors. Motion to receive. All in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote.
Comment? I just want to thank Mr. Tellerico, the building commissioner, for his quick attention to that request. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor.
They do have pictures.
Item 8C. Councilor Driscoll.
You're over here. You're over here. Everyone.
See, you threw me off receiving one out of under suspension of the rules. I haven't gotten the hang of this job yet, so Councilor McGinn, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8H and set up a public hearing. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote, and I wasn't that far off. So Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive and approve item 8M, all papers being in order. So moved.
Councilors, you heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor McGinn.
Move to receive item 8N and approve, all papers being in order. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote.
And just adding to everybody else's comments, best wishes to Barry and Bob. I've learned a lot from you guys and appreciate all your years of service. Thank you.
Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A co-motion with Dean of the Council, retiring Ward 4 Councilor Bob Driscoll, to put up signage on Felton Street for a dead end. So moved.
On the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote.
I'd like to request a status update from Community Development on the hotel proposal, the hotel/garage proposal. The garage down on Foster Street. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, and just a thank you, a good night, and thank you for everything to Barry and Bob. You're both such nice guys, and it's been a pleasure working with you and becoming friends with you, and I know where you both live, so you'll see me again.
Councilor Osborne.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I'd like to make a co-motion with the Honorable President, Mr. Councilor Walsh, that the request that the Health Department or the Parks Department investigate the rear properties on Diane Road, abutting Radden Road Park, and enforce any cleanup issues. It seems there's been a problem with people throwing trash or whatever, unwanted items over the fence into the park area. So move, Mr. President.
Councilors on the motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Osborne.
Move that Public Services erect a not a throughway sign at the beginning of Longwood Avenue. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Osborne.
Move that the Public Services repair a sewer cover in the proximity of 24 Longwood Avenue.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Osborne.
All right. Request that the police and public services, let me see, just on Vetch Drive, where the new Brown School is. Mrs. Emmett lives across from, and about the parking area, the entrance to the apartments on the side. And Mrs. Emmett is 92 years old and very spry, but she cannot have her visitors park in front of her house because there's a parking restriction there. And we've been trying to get this sign straight for many years. There's plenty of ample parking on the apartment side. There's 2 lots there. There's a lots in front, and there's the side lot. Now, the only problem is that there's some pickup spots right there at the side door, but really they don't need to be there, but she's trying to be very nice about it and let it just be pickup spots. So I would like to restrict the parking on the, I guess that would be the east side, and allow for parking on the west side. The side with the houses would have allowable parking with a parking restriction on the other side. If given the opportunity, they should probably knock on Mrs. Emmett's door and she will set them straight, because she knows exactly what signs are not in the right spots and would be glad to do that. So I requested the police department to investigate, and I requested public service to rearrange the signs once it's been determined that they're in the right spot. Thank you.
Thank you,
No
Councilor.
further motions, Mr. President.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Driscoll.
Hey, I just have one motion, and it's a request for public services to post a no parking sign at the corner of Perkins and Franklin, which is heading going towards downtown, which I guess that would be going, which way to me? South? No, it's right on the corner of Perkins and Franklin. It'll be on Perkins Street heading south. Does that make sense?
That's right.
No parking from here to the corner, because that, that's a dangerous intersection, and somebody's parking right there. That's all. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holiday, and good night.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sinowitz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Under the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8N and move approval, all papers being in order. So moved.
I think that was done.
That was
okay.
done?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, whoever did that. Want to receive, move to receive under suspension of the rules 8F. And I'd like to make a motion. It's kind of convoluted, but on Mandalay Drive, there's a house, and actually there's a paper street that goes through his front yard. It's all grass. And people are cutting through it, and he's even had people drive across his front lawn. So he's requesting that, he's asking, and I had the DPW out there looking at it. So I guess it comes down to, I want to make a motion to our city solicitor and ask if he can put a fence up on that quote-unquote paper street so we can keep people from coming through his property. So moved.
Okay, council's on the motion to receive and request a fence be placed there. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sinowitz.
Yes. Did we receive 8R yet? That's on the pipeline? Okay, move under suspension of rules to receive item 8R. It said this late hour, I didn't really want to go into battling the pipeline. 8, is that what it is? Okay, I'm sorry, it looked like an R. It's late.
Okay.
So move.
Item 8K, councilors, motion to receive. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Sinowitz.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that the Department of Public Works inspect the sewer line at the intersection of Bailey Terrace and Lowell Street. The sewer line is backed up twice into this one resident's house, so they've been out there twice, but they're trying to figure out why after 20-something years it's backing up into his home. And the pipes are clear, so I'd like to get them out there again, make sure, before the holidays. So moved.
On that motion, councilors, all in favor, any opposed? It is a vote. Councilor Sinowitz.
to check with the, make a motion to the Department of Public Works, I'm getting through, I know you, on the status of the berm at the corner of Hopi and Catherine Drive. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Sinowitz.
That's it. Last but not least, I would like to thank Bob and Barry for their service. You know, being a ward councilor is not an easy job, and I think Barry said you made it easy. It's not an easy job. And they've always been a gentleman to me. We've gone back and forth and debated issues, and everybody's been a gentleman. There's no animosities, and I learned a lot from you guys over the last 8 years. So thank you for your service, and you guys are gentlemen, a class act. And I also like to congratulate our City Council President for a year well done at the helm. He did a great job, and who knows what the future will bring. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, councilors. Communications from city officers and others. On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Item 8D. Councilor Gould.
D,
we did.
We did D.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going down.
Motion to receive item 8E.
Okay, I think we did that.
We did that. 8G.
Oh.
8J. 8J.
On that, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Okay, item 8G.
Motion to receive item 8G. Motion to receive item 8P.
P
is done, excuse me.
What about O? Is O done? O is done.
9A, motion to approve all papers being in order. No, we need a hearing. We need to set up a public hearing. Thank you. As is 9B, same thing, set up a public hearing.
On those motions, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Item 9C.
Motion to approve. Do I need to read them, Tim? C is a hearing. Motion to set up a public hearing.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Osborne?
Right again as usual, Barry.
Excuse me, Council President. I have on to 9G.
Okay, let's take care of 9F. On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor Sasslaw.
Yes, on item 9G, I do not want to take any, I request not to take any action on Prestige Auto Sales. We granted them a license on June 11th. They have not opened up for business, and I'd like to make a motion to schedule a renewal hearing, as I have a number of questions that I'd like to be answered, and I want to give the petitioner, the current license holder, due notice and the appropriate opportunity to answer those questions.
On that motion, councilors, comments? All in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor Osborne. All in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. 9H. On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. 9I. On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. 9J. All in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Item 10, ready for council adoption. Councilor Gravel.
10A, move adoption as advertised.
On that motion, all in favor? Any opposed? It is a vote.
10B, an ordinance amending section 1820. Move to adopt as advertised.
Okay. I'll hold off on.
Hold off on that one.
Thank you. Councilor Gravel. Councilor Gravel, you want to make that motion?
I did.
Okay, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Item 10C.
10C, move to adopt an ordinance amending Section 18 and 18C as advertised.
All in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor Sinowitz, then Councilor Gould.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I have one more motion, and it has to do with dogs. I'd like to make a motion to the Department of Public Works to put up a sign at 32 Pearlie Avenue. I guess the dog owners are running amok over there, and they're not cleaning up after themselves. So we'd like to put up a sign that says, please pick up your dog waste. So moved.
On that motion, all in favor, any opposed, it is a vote. Councilor Gould.
Mr. Walsh, Councilor Walsh, great job this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And it is my last time to say to you all, we are adjourned.